What is going on, everybody? Back with an exciting and funny video today. So I think that today's topic is kind of funny and interesting, and maybe it applies to some of you who have been too afraid to maybe ask this question in the comments. So I wanted to answer this ahead of time for all of you. The question for tonight's video is, do nice cars get you girls? So maybe some of you who have been in the market for a nice luxury car have wondered this yourselves and have been curious whether owning a nice car attracts women, right? And maybe that goes for you women viewers who are interested if nice cars attract men. The answer is pretty much the same for both. So I will just address it from the men's perspective, but you can pretty much apply the exact same mentality for the women's perspective. Now, the question of whether driving a nice car actually gets you women is a little bit more complicated than you might think. There are actually about 3 different answers to that question. Some of them probably contrary to what you might think in your head, but let's start with the first answer. So the first answer to whether owning a nice car actually gets you women is, as some of you may believe, or some of you may already know, that answer is no. Driving a nice car or owning a nice car does not mean that you're going to suddenly attract women. So say you have this attraction to a woman and she has not noticed you for the past 6 months, and all of a sudden you start driving a Mercedes, she will not start noticing you. I'm sorry, that is not how it works. Owning a nice car is great for yourself, but it's not necessarily great for attracting someone of the opposite sex. That's the simple and clear-cut answer, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. The second answer to the question is, in some scenarios, of course, some women will become attracted to you because you have nice things. Whether that's a car, house, whatever it may be, sometimes that does attract women in general. So if you manage to get yourself a nice car, whatever that may be, doesn't have to be luxury, just a nice car in general, there may be certain situations where a woman will be more attracted to you. Now, in order to support my first answer of no, cars don't attract women, I will say that women who are attracted to the fact that you have a nice car are probably not the women you want to be dating. They probably just are attracted to material things and not for who you actually are, not your personality, not your humor, not your looks, but pretty much what you own. So for that reason, any woman who is all of a sudden attracted to you because you have suddenly gotten a nice car are probably not women you should be dating, but that's your personal opinion. I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Now on to the third and more complex answer to this question of whether owning a nice car gets you women. Now this goes back to the topic of a video I made a few weeks ago regarding whether buying a Mercedes is buying the brand or something more than that. And in that video I mentioned how buying a Mercedes improved who I was as an individual because I started dressing better, I became a little bit more mature, and overall I improved who I was from where I was before I owned the Mercedes. And that brings me to the third answer to this question, and that is that a car may potentially start attracting women if you have somehow matured or changed or bettered yourself by purchasing a nice car. So for me, for example, I ended up becoming, I think, in my opinion, a little bit better of an individual, of a man, by having some sort of responsibility that I had to account myself for. So I started dressing a little bit better, I started acting a little bit more mature. If that is something that happens to you as well, not because you're forced to do it, but because you naturally feel inclined to do it because you drive a nicer car, then a repercussion of that might be that you become more attractive to women. Now again, this isn't because you are forced to do something, but because naturally you have changed and adapted to the environment that you are in. And that adaptation makes you more attractive to the opposite sex. So to sum up my third point, there are situations where you have become more attractive to women, not because of the car you drive, but because the car you drive has made you who you are today. It's made you a better individual because you've started dressing better or you've started acting a little bit differently. So overall, a car cannot attract the opposite sex. And if it does, it's probably not an individual that you should be considering dating. But if it does, it's more of a side effect from improving who you are as an individual by dressing a little bit better and looking a little bit more mature and acting a little bit differently. Now, I speak from personal experience because I've owned this car for 5 years, and of course I considered that question when I started purchasing this vehicle. Is this car going to, attract more women than I currently attract? And of course that answer, just like I mentioned before, was no. It did not attract more women than it could have, but I did improve my lifestyle and the way I acted, which helped improve women's attractiveness towards me. Now, I have been in a serious relationship for the past year and a half or so, and I can tell you that My girlfriend didn't like me because I owned a Mercedes, but because I became more of a mature individual in the past few years as a result of owning this car. I would attribute it partially to owning this car, not entirely, of course, but partially to owning this car. I matured as an individual, and that made me more attractive as an individual. So there you have it, folks. I just want to make a quick, funny, little interesting video today. I think I took a little bit of a different take than most people assume with that question, and of course the answer is no. But there are other parts to that question that really aren't addressed, and I wanted to address those in today's video. So if you enjoy the content, if you like today's video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope that you continue watching my videos going forward because I want to make some exciting content. And thank you guys so much for watching. Also check out my Instagram. It's at Shwayze_, just like my YouTube handle. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys at the next video. Take care.